Oh, here we are. Can't say my first trip to Asia was planned to be under these circumstances, but I suppose that's the reality of life, isn't it? We have to run with what we have sometimes, and this is my version of doing just that. So it's a bit of a stark contrast from what I'm used to, I have to be honest, and there are many reasons why. I shan't go into all of them right now, but suffice to say it's very hot. It's hot, there isn't a huge amount of quiet space, certainly not in the city, and I've come to the beach here, which wasn't too far away, but again, used to the beaches in Wales, which are very, very different. But here's the view. And I will say, before I go too much further into this video, that if anyone's watching who is a member of my family, first of all, thank you. But second of all, there's a few things I'm going to say which you may not like to hear, and not because they're rude or derogatory in any way, but just simply because that's the reality of the situation I find myself in, and I want to acknowledge that. And I think there are so many people out there who will be really keen to tell you about how they have life figured out and how they have everything working in the way that exactly the way that they want, and they probably have something to sell you as well to do just that. But the thing is, it's seldom the case that 100% of our experiences are planned. And of course, the way that we respond to things is always within our control, even if it doesn't seem like it in the moment. But when we're faced with something that's completely unexpected and that we have no point of reference for, then it can catch us off guard, especially when it concerns people that we care about. And my dad's been out here in Thailand for best part of about 7 years, I think, maybe slightly longer. And we've had phone contact between now and then, but I respect his choices for being here, and he's come out here for his own reasons. And whilst I may not agree with those, I respect his right to make his own decisions, and I honour that. But in the last few days, within the last week, he's gone from, as far as I can tell, having a semi-coherent conversations to essentially struggling to remember who I am. And I'll be honest, I've been finding that quite difficult. You know, when you see the body in the form of someone that's familiar to you, but their way of responding to you is anything but familiar, there's some adjustment to be done. And how things are going to pan out over the next few days, I have absolutely no idea. But we have, my brother and I, who's also out here with me, we have a few meetings to set up and some administration to do, and some of the logistics of caring for someone whose health has been declining very rapidly over a very short period of time. And not being able to do the things that I'm used to do, having disturbance in my own routine has unsettled me in its own way, and I have to acknowledge that. And like I said, I'm not perfect. And whilst my ability to remain resourceful in this situation is good, it's certainly at moments compromised, and yesterday was one of those days, bearing in mind I've been here 3 days, to 4 days, I'm not sure. Yesterday was not great. It was hot, and walking in rubber shoes without socks for a few minutes turned out to be a bad idea, because I've now got lots of blisters on my feet and had a very uncomfortable headache. And those are just things we have to deal with. But I'm out here and I'm finding time for myself, and even though I'm here to primarily care for someone else and make sure their needs are met in whatever form that needs to take, I have to prioritize my own care. And for me, that looks like finding moments of silence. And as I mentioned before, silence it's not necessarily that we have to be in an environment that's silent, although it definitely helps. Coming to the beach, of course, is my way of finding that to the best of my ability in a city, thankfully. But silence is an opportunity for us to observe what's going on. It's an opportunity for us to see that perhaps the contents of the mind in the moment are not that helpful, and that there might be a perspective or a story or a meaning that's being given to the situation that actually is not helpful to the situation. Often when we're in the moment, it's very hard for us to see those things. But when we take a moment to reflect, either through silence or through a form of reflective practice, and that for you could look like journaling, it could look like just talking to yourself out loud in the mirror, and as crazy as it sounds, it works, right? And so silence is that way for me. And also just checking in with myself, just standing in front of the mirror and just looking at myself, and just getting a sense of where I'm at. And I haven't done that for a couple of days. And so I did that last night, found some time for silence, had some painkillers, had an early night. This morning I feel considerably better, so I've used the first opportunity I can to record something. And like I said on my previous video, which I can't remember when I scheduled it to be live, but anyway, on the previous video I said, it's often that which is unplanned, which is a call to growth. It's those moments that we find ourselves in that we weren't expecting, the hard times where everything that we've been working on up until this point suddenly becomes real, and we are called to either step into a greater presence and a greater awareness of what we've been becoming silently in the background, or we can continue living life the way that we always have and recede somewhat into the shadows. And I don't feel like I have a choice to do that. And so documenting the process isn't so much about me sharing or reflecting on the hardships, although of course there will be an element of that. It's reflecting on the real world unfolding of having to stay true to yourself, even in the midst of circumstances which seem anything but logical and rational at times and normal, although I'm not sure what normal really is. So I appreciate you coming along for the journey with me, and the next few videos will be, I would imagine, somewhat different in nature to the last ones, not just because I'm in a different place, but also because of what's unfolding in front of me. And I'm not here to tell you I have all the answers, and I think that's important. I think it's important for everyone to see that life is real, and that the reality of life involves going up and going down and finding a sense of stability in amongst those two movements that is independent from them. And that's a greater subject, I think, will be something I can share on a future video. But for now, I thank you for watching, and I'll leave you with some views of the ocean. And there's a pirate ship just out there. I'm not quite sure if it will show on video, but that's quite cool. And things may be slightly more sporadic in nature in terms of what's being shared over the next few days, but I trust that those of you who find value in this video will be keen to see how the next phase unfolds, and I do hope there's some value in it for you if you find yourself in circumstances which may be slightly challenging at the moment. So until then, thanks for watching as always, and let the machine know if you find value in this content, and perhaps it will get spread a little further. And I wish you well.